Hello and welcome to Full Tech Ahead. I'm your host, Amanda Razani, and with me today, I'm excited to have Joe Sykora. He is the CEO of Coro. How are you doing today?
Great, Amanda. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Can you share a
Absolutely.
little bit about Coro and what services does Coro provide?
Sure. Yeah, Coro, it's a platform, a complete cybersecurity platform, right? We have a single agent that we provide roughly 14 different modules, so we cover all aspects of cyber. We do that through one data set, and then what we do is we take that data set, we can use AI to then, we correlate and then we can remediate. And those of you out there that know AI, obviously the cleaner the data set, the more effective it is. So we're seeing anywhere from 92 to actually some of our clients are seeing about 96% automated stop rate as far as the bad things that are happening out there. And literally, we cover all aspects of cyber, right? We have endpoint, we have EDR, email, network, compliance. Gardner has this kind of deemed workspace protection, right? That's kind of the new buzz term where we do have a direct integration to Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. So, yeah, many things we do. I've been in cyber for a long time, going on 30 years, and I've been at many places, and it's almost a too good to be true. And I tell people you have to seeing is believing. So definitely try it out to see what we can do.
Absolutely. The world of cybersecurity has greatly changed, especially over the past few years with AI.
Right.
So, to that note, our topic today is going to be about small to medium-sized businesses and, smaller teams that are sort of using a Franken-stack set of tools for their cybersecurity needs
Sure.
and kind of the struggle that that causes for managed service providers and security leaders. To that note, from your experience, what is the biggest security challenge that small businesses are facing today?
Yeah. Well, I think, small businesses, medium businesses, and actually even enterprise businesses now, they're all struggling with the fact that they don't have enough resources, right? So, um, we're 11 years old. We were purpose built really for that SME, right, market, the lean IT market, where we realized that you can't have the expertise to run a complete enterprise stack. Even if you have the budget to do it, you may not have the expertise. Or if, say, you have someone that's a specialist in the endpoint or EDR or email that you picked as far as your stack goes, what if they leave, right? What if they leave and then you have to go find some more expertise? So, we were purpose built for the simplicity without sacrificing security, right? So we're still five nines protection. Like I mentioned before, it is built to use AI in defense of all the AI the bad guys out there. That's it, right? A lot of people I talk to, we've seen, and I've been a part of a lot of enterprise solutions, right? Part of that Franken-stack, if you will, where we used to connect things via API. It never gave you a single pane of glass, right? So we give you that single pane of glass. If you're an MSP, right, we give you correlation across all of your clients. And some of the new stuff we're working on is you don't even have to interface with our UI. We'll actually bring Core to where you want to use Core, whether it be your AI platform, whether it be Slack, if it want Teams, so you can actually interface this in a multitude of different ways. It's all about the simplicity, though, right? We do that. I think when I was an MSP, because if you go back in the 90s, I was an early adopter to kind of delivering services like that. That was my pitch, right? Was, hey, you can't operate an enterprise stack. Maybe you could afford it, maybe you couldn't. Let me come in and do it. But then I had to operationalize things as best as I could as an MSP. And we all know there's still limitations of how many clients and analysts can really work on. With our platform, we simplify that even more. So to the MSP, it's operationalizing things, right? So giving you the results with a lot. So instead of working on 20, 30 clients and analysts, you can look at 100 to 200, which, that MSP wise is just helping you with your overall margin and putting money in your pocket.
Why is it that the multi-tool approach often doesn't work as well?
Well, listen, enterprise solutions are fantastic, right? In fact, I tell everyone if you want to put Coro against a single solution, an enterprise solution, we may not have all the bells and whistles that you're looking for as an end user because there's complexity to it, right? If you, all of us that have been in cyber for a long time know, the number one risk is people, right? So we have security awareness and training to help with that. But number two is misconfiguration, right? So I've seen a lot of clients through the years have issues with something was misconfigured because they had that widget or something that they didn't turn on right or configure right, but we protect users and MSPs from that, right? Because that's definitely where we see a lot of risk. It's interesting because I've always been part of companies that are offering a platform, and their platform and begins and ends, and then you use API to do everything else. And even the MSPs out there, for some of the PSA providers, right, and the MSP tools that are running your business, even some of the things they're offering aren't fully integrated together. Again, they've made a lot of acquisitions. They've kind of glued things or Franken-stack things together. There's not seamless integration. We were purpose built, right? It's all of our technology that we use, and having that single client across operating systems, devices, including mobile, there's a huge advantage of that because, again, I mentioned it before, the data set, right? Having one single data set that is true and clean to then use AI to your benefit. We all know it's about a clean database. So that's that's really what I've seen out there in the shift in the market of why some of those tools that are API just don't work. And again, if you've tried it before, you still don't have a single pane of glass that's really helping you run the business or provide services to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned AI, and of course, that's, the big topic these days. What kind of wrench is it throwing into the cybersecurity world? And how do you advise business leaders address AI when it comes to cybersecurity?
Yeah. Well, if this was a more social event, I'd probably tell you we could do an AI drinking game, right? Where every time, uh, joking aside, listen, AI has been with us for many, many years. Of course, it started out as machine learning long, long time ago. Like I said, we're 11 years old, so we've always been purpose built using it. I think the attacks are definitely on the rise. And as a provider who gets to see things happen, we've already seen almost 4x the number of attacks so far this year than all of last year, right? Now, that's a combination. One, we've expanded our customer footprint and we have more clients, but two, even if you look at the attacks per client, right, which we do, it is up 3 to 4x. So, those attacks and people using AI for bad, not good, they're growing. And I think everyone knows that. I think, we've all gotten some type of either phishing or other attack. It looks really good now, right? Because, before we were able to say, hey, the logo's off, the spelling's off, this isn't the right. So that's where that awareness and training and training the people is core. And that's why it's one of our core modules that we integrate into this. If you're not using an AI system, I don't see how you keep up, right? I really don't. If you're not using it for good, if you will, and helping you assist your clients, and it's only going to get worse, right? I mean, I think if you rewind back 6 months ago, you would have never, all of us, listen, for years been using it. But even if you rewind 6 months ago, it was like, yeah, it's a good tool. It still needs some work. Now I'm talking to people and they're like, holy cow. Um, they're shifting platforms too. And who knows where we're going to be even 3 months from now, because this is going faster than anything we've seen before. I think everyone out there understands Moore's law. This is kind of hyperscale when it comes to that. I mean, things are just changing so quickly. So
For business leaders who are currently using this plethora of different tools for their security needs, and maybe they do want to switch over to a all-in-one visibility platform, what advice do you have for them as far as how to get started? And how do you address their concerns about, well, we already paid for all these different tools.
Sure.
How do we see our ROI on, you know, what we already paid for, getting rid of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, everyone has tools. Everyone has a stack. Um, we're more results driven, and I tell everyone that, we are even we're not an MDR, but we give you MDR results. And that's really what I think most MSPs are looking for. When I talk to them, and I get very, very fortunate. I get to travel the world and talk to MSPs all over. That's what they want, right? They don't want the complexity, they want the results. And if we can give you those, and then you provide, right, detection response and doing the threat hunting, that's something that is a billable service for all those MSPs out there. And we're not going to compete with you like some of the others out there. So it turns into more of an operational discussion. Again, we understand commitments have made. You've built systems. That's why we again, the seeing believing. We let you get started at no cost, and it's something that our system you can get up and running in typically less than 30 minutes, right, for an end user. So it's a very intuitive but powerful tool that they could try. I've seen MSPs say, "Hey, this is great. I'm going to use it for my small to medium business clients." And then all of a sudden, I meet with them in 6 months, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, I'm now using it in a higher." I have a client, maybe a school system that has 20, 30,000 users. I'm using Coro. So, you know, it's that. Of course, we have competitive place displacement programs and everything else, but we even we allow you to consume Coro the way you want to. If you want to just do monthly consumption, great, we'll do monthly consumption. So it's a very flexible. And if you look at our program that we built, we're 100% channel. The partners out there that know me and have heard me, I took over about almost a year ago in July. We went 100% channel, not channel first, not channel led, 100%, right? No mixed model. We're not selling direct. So we give them the protection they need, which is what a lot of partners are looking for. And unfortunately, they don't have that as much as they used to. That's the pitch, really, is again, your main cost as an MSP is typically not your software license. It's the operational back end. And if you really take a look at that, it's like, okay, well, if I can multiply the number of clients that you can put your analyst on, and it's 5x or even greater. I've seen some MSPs at 10x. That's real money, right? And that's margin in your pocket where either you can keep it or you can get more aggressive with your pricing if you want to.
Are there any mistakes from your experience that you've seen MSPs make that you'd like to point out, like a different shift to their mindset that they should have in any particular area?
Well, I'm not going to say mistake, right? Because listen, I think all businesses are there to make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes when I had my businesses. And, I think it's more around just giving a fresh look that just because you have maybe the most expensive platform or expensive solution, you really need to look at the complexity, right? Because now you can deliver very, very effective security. It's not the way it used to be, right? That flexibility and operational efficiency is real. And that's the thing that I think most of because listen, I still have a lot of friends. We're all getting older and we've been doing this for, 20 to 30 years. What we used to offer as best of breed, the old best of breed products where we built this really complex stack, um, seeing's believing, right? And trust me, I had to actually work with the system before I joined Coro. I did a full evaluation. And then of course I have a few friends that also looked at they're like, this is crazy. Why aren't they telling more people? So that's why I'm here. Right. So that is one of the things that I tell MSPs is you should at least always be looking at new things out there. Maybe we're not a fit today, but you never know. I'll argue there's always something that you can improve in your system, and it's worth giving it a try.
Well, as rapidly as technology is advancing, what's the next thing that you think cybersecurity leaders should be focused on and getting prepared for? I might throw out quantum, I don't know, but what's out there? What's
Yeah, quantum.
next?
Yeah, quantum. Listen, quantum's not. I know we've been. I don't even want to tell you what I started dabbling with quantum, and it's been a while. So it's been out there, and I think the big advice, the advice I can give is just embrace change, right? Because things are moving at such a fast pace that I can't even tell you. If you even look at product cycles, right, and roadmaps and everything else, sure, we have our roadmap that's a short and then a long term, just like everyone else. But we've gone to product cycles that are almost immediate, right? Because you can look in any of you using any of the AI platforms. I think every time you log in, what do you see? Hey, there's an update, right? There's a new version. So it's this constant thing, right? It's this constant upgrading and making our systems better. So embracing that and embracing change and keeping an open mind is really, I think, what we're all going to have to do. I mean, I also have that conversation with friends because I have 4 children and they're like, what are the kids? What are you telling them they should get into? Of course, I always say, as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. Listen, I have 2 sons. One of my sons is really interested in technology and everything else, and I encourage it. But, I'm probably not going to tell him you should go into development, right? I mean, but we'll see, right? We'll see. It's keeping that open mind, and we could talk in another 6 to 12 months, and I'm sure we can talk about what has changed because it's going to change. It's going to change quickly.
It sure is. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could leave our audience with today, what would that be?
One key takeaway is try us out, right? Seeing is believing. I think that it's a no cost trial. You can go to our website, you can reach out to myself or anyone on the team. We have people that are from the channel and they've been in the channel for a long time, so they understand the needs of what you need as an MSP. I think it's give it a shot, right? It's gonna be no cost to you, and I think you're gonna like what you see.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your insights, and sharing about what Coro offers.
Thanks, Amanda.
And thank you to our audience. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll try to respond back as soon as possible. And until the next podcast, have a wonderful week.